What if I told you that your job, your religion, your marriage, even your name, none of them truly define who you are? What if everything you've ever believed about your identity was not truth, but choice? Now imagine waking up one morning and realizing there is no cosmic script, no divine director, no pre-written lines. You're standing on a vast, silent stage, alone. The spotlight's on, and there's no one to tell you what to say or do. What now? This isn't a nightmare. It's existentialism. It's not about despair. It's about awakening. It's the moment Neo takes the red pill. The moment you realize there is no path unless you walk it. No one can live your life for you. No one can save you from the burden or the miracle of being free. So are you ready to carry that weight? Existentialism is not just a philosophy. It's a rebellion against all borrowed meanings. It whispers in your ear, you are free, terrifyingly free. It challenges centuries of tradition, against religions that claim a divine plan, against societies that define roles from birth. Existentialism dares to say, there is no universal meaning, only the meaning you choose. This isn't nihilism. Nihilism says, nothing matters. Existentialism says, nothing is given, but everything can matter if you make it so. It insists that meaning is not discovered like buried treasure, but created like art, painfully, personally, uniquely. It's not for the faint of heart, because if you choose your meaning, you also bear the consequences. You cannot blame fate, not even God. As Sartre said, man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. In this way, existentialism becomes more than theory. It becomes a kind of spiritual revolution, a demand that we stop sleepwalking through life and begin to live deliberately. The roots of existentialism stretch deep, all the way back to Søren Kierkegaard, the Danish Christian thinker of the 19th century, who struggled with faith and anxiety. He believed truth was not a set of facts, but a lived inward experience. He called for a leap of faith, not into blind dogma, but into authenticity. Then came Nietzsche, declaring that God is dead, not as a celebration, but a warning. Without shared religious truths, humanity stood on the edge of a void. His call was clear: become who you are. Create new values or fall into herd mentality and despair. Later, Martin Heidegger explored the anxiety of being, a mood that exposes our thrownness into a world we never chose. And it was Jean-Paul Sartre, emerging from the ashes of World War II, who articulated the full existentialist program, "We are condemned to be free." This wasn't abstract. In post-war France, with the Holocaust and the atomic bomb fresh wounds, people were starving for meaning. Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir sat in Paris cafes and insisted, philosophy must respond to life. It must be lived. Existentialism wasn't born from books. It was born from crisis, from collapse, from the question, what now when all old gods are dead? Key characteristics of existentialism. Imagine you're standing at a fork in the road. No signs, no map. You alone must choose. And whatever path you pick, it will shape you. That's radical freedom. Sartre believed we are thrown into existence, and from that moment on, everything is up to us. Even not acting is a form of action. But freedom isn't a gift, it's a burden. Why? Because every choice declares something about who you are. And once made, you can't escape the truth that you were the one who made it. This level of freedom can be paralyzing. It creates a psychological pressure, existential angst. What if you choose wrong? What if you waste your life? That fear is real, but it's also proof that you're alive. The existentialist answer: choose anyway. As Kierkegaard wrote, anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, but it's also the birthplace of transformation. Authenticity is the existentialist's holy grail. To live authentically is to act from your own values, not from fear, social pressure, or laziness. But most of us live in what Sartre calls bad faith. We play roles. We say, I'm just a teacher, or I have no choice, it's my duty. These are lies we tell ourselves to avoid the horror of our freedom. Bad faith is seductive. It protects us from anxiety, but it also keeps us from becoming fully alive. To be authentic is to wrestle with yourself, to ask, why am I doing this? And not rest until the answer is real. It's to risk rejection, failure, and pain for the chance of being true. This battle isn't one you win once, it's daily. As de Beauvoir said, one is not born, but rather becomes a woman. That becoming applies to us all. You become by acting, reflecting, choosing, again and again. Albert Camus gave existentialism its poetic soul. He looked at the human condition and said, "We are creatures who crave meaning in a universe that is silent." This clash is the absurd. The absurd isn't a problem to be solved, it's a reality to be faced. Religion tries to cover it. Politics tries to distract us from it. But Camus said, let's look it in the eye. Let's not lie. In the myth of Sisyphus, the Greek figure endlessly rolls a boulder uphill, only for it to fall back down. Camus says, this is life. But if Sisyphus can accept his fate and still choose to keep pushing, then he becomes heroic. He creates dignity and defiance. In our lives, we also roll boulders. Bills, routines, relationships, inner battles. Existentialism says, own your rock. Find beauty in the absurd. Choose to continue, not because life makes sense, but because your freedom gives it worth. Anguish is the cost of waking up. When you truly realize your freedom, it's like standing on the edge of a cliff. The wind is exhilarating, but you could fall. Heidegger called this moment being toward death. When we glimpse our mortality, we stop living automatically. We realize every moment matters. This anxiety is not pathology, it's insight. It tells you that life is not a dress rehearsal, that the decisions you make today shape the only life you have. And it's not just your life you shape. Sartre wrote of existential responsibility. When you choose, you make a model for humanity. Your choices imply, this is how a person should live. So when you lie, conform, or settle, you're not just betraying yourself, you're betraying what it means to be human. That's the weight existentialism places on your shoulders, and the dignity it offers you in return. This is the cornerstone of Sartre's thought. Existence precedes essence. It means you're not born with a fixed nature or fate. You become who you are by acting in the world. Think of it this way. A paper knife is made with a purpose, to cut. But a human being, we exist first. Then we invent our purpose. This challenges everything. Religion, biology, even psychology. Existentialism doesn't deny influence, but it insists you are not determined. You are not a label. You are a becoming. This is scary, but it's also revolutionary. It means that at any moment, you can rewrite your story. You are never finished, never stuck. You can always choose to live more fully, more freely, more you. In the modern world, we are flooded with choices, and yet many feel more lost than ever. Existentialism offers a compass, not to point to one path, but to remind us we can walk. On social media, it's easy to perform a life rather than live one. Existentialism urges, disconnect to reconnect. Ask, who am I when no one is watching? At work, we often feel like cogs in a machine. But existential thought invites us to ask, am I being paid in money or meaning? In relationships, it reminds us, love is not duty. It is a chosen act, renewed daily, freely given, not owed. In therapy, existential ideas now shape treatments. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, developed logotherapy, built on the idea that the search for meaning is the primary human drive. Even in suffering, we can find purpose. Existentialism doesn't fix your life. It calls you to confront it, nakedly, honestly, fully. To live existentially is not to be fearless. It is to feel fear and choose anyway. It is to walk alone, but never aimless. To know that you are writing your story and no one, not even God, can write it for you. Existentialism does not give you meaning. It gives you back your power to create it. So take the pen, write your own name, and begin.